Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to bore you with a bookshelf tour. Plus, at the end, I'll throw in a little bit of a what I'm up to update. Now, these books will be two categories: religion and science. Now, religion. I have a Catholic background, and I emphasize the background there. I have to admit, I probably haven't had a sincere moment of faith in many, many, many years. But I suppose Catholicism left some kind of blood-spattered, guilt-drenched impression on me because I maintain an interest in, I'll say, Judeo-Christian history and theology, and to an extent, just religion in general. So, yeah, I'll be showing you some of my books along those lines. These mostly will have all of these actually, there goes the dog, will have a Judeo-Christian flavor. And quite a few of these I haven't read. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I'm a hoarder, and I grab anything that looks interesting. But also, after I've read a book, unless it's something that I'm pretty sure I'm going to return to, I donate it. And I also do a lot of reading on my e-reader these days. So, yeah, it seems like a lot of my physical books are things I haven't read yet. So, I guess that's enough rambling. I'll get into the books here. First, I have here The Prophets by Abraham Heschel. And this, I guess, is just a book about the prophetic movement in biblical Israel, the role it played in that culture. I've always been interested in the prophetic writings and the Hebrew scriptures, and I thought it'd be interesting to learn more about that phenomenon. So there you go, book number one. Number two here, I have From Text to Tradition, A History of Second Temple Rabbinic Judaism by Lawrence H. Schiffman. Sorry, I'm trying to read backwards here in my phone monitor, but this is about that period between the return from the Babylonian exile up until the development of rabbinic and Talmudic Judaism. And that's interesting largely because it's or at least to me, largely because it's the era of the New Testament and the birth of Christianity. It's a era that I've read a fair amount about, but I have not read this particular book yet. So, hope it proves interesting when I get to it. Here I have the first 7 Ecumenical Councils, 325 to 787, Their History and Theology, by Leo Donald Davis. I believe he's an SJ. Yes, he is a Jesuit with an STL. Now, this book is exactly that. I have actually read this one, and it's exactly that, just a little survey of the history and theology of the first 7 Ecumenical Councils. And I kind of threw this one in here because I've noticed several people on BookTube of late reading, what's his name? John Julian Norwich's 3-volume History of Byzantium. And I actually found this very helpful while reading those books, especially the first volume. It really shed some insight on some of the things that came into play in Byzantium during those years. So, yeah, I thought I'd show that to everybody. This is really pretty similar territory, probably gets into more detail on those particular councils. Have not read this one yet. From Nicaea to Chalcedon, A Guide to the Literature and Its Background by Francis M. Young with Andrew Teal. So, yeah, it looks like it delves into documents and kind of tracks the evolution from the Nicene Creed up until the solidification of the idea of the hypostatic union at Chalcedon. Hypostatic union, I'm no theologian, I'll probably get this wrong, but just in my layman's way, I described it as the idea that Christ was both fully human and fully divine simultaneously, if you can wrap your head around that. So, yeah, there's that. And here's yet another one along similar lines. Christology and the Council of Chalcedon. Father Shenouda M. Ishak. Like I said, similar territory, much more detailed than the survey of the 7 councils I showed earlier, I'm sure. And I believe this one would give me more of an Orthodox perspective is why I picked it up. Yeah, Father Ishak is a theologian in the Coptic Orthodox Church who was delegated by the late Pope Shenouda III to be involved in interdenominational Christian dialogue between the Oriental Orthodox family of churches and both the Eastern Orthodox family of churches and the Roman Catholic Church. So yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to get a Eastern perspective. My knowledge of the Eastern perspective is very weak, so I really need to work on that. Okay, here, a little bit more familiar territory for me. I have a biography of Augustine of Hippo by Peter Bryan, pretty noted scholar of late antiquity. I've read and enjoyed Augustine's autobiographical confessions and his City of God, but I've wanted to read this biography for some time and just haven't gotten to it yet, so there it is. And here I have another Peter Bryan effort, The Rise of Western Christendom, Triumph and Diversity, AD 200 to 1000. Now, obviously this is going to be it's interesting. Not quite sure why we have Moses for the cover with this subject matter, but if anyone has an insight on that, we'll love to hear in the comments. But yeah, it's obviously going to be a survey, church history, and I have read other histories of that period, but I bought it mostly on the strength of Peter Bryan. It's a well-regarded work. I was curious about it, so here it is. Still hope to get to it one of these days. Okay, getting more up into the medieval era here. Have Dark Mirror, The Medieval Origins of Anti-Jewish Iconography by Sarah Lipton. I've always been curious about the anti-Semitism of the Middle Ages. I know reading accounts of the Black Death, I've always just been floored by the silly rumors that would get started that the Jewish communities must be poisoning the wells. That's what's causing this. And even though the Jewish communities were dying in droves just like everyone else, so if they were poisoning, it was a rather self-defeating poisoning. But yeah, I guess this book delves into the culture of the Middle Ages and the origin of the hateful visual depictions of Jewish people that came out of that era. So probably kind of a grim read, but an interesting one. More medieval stuff I have here. Medieval heresies. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Now, this is one of the Cambridge medieval textbooks. I have several of these actually, both in hard copy and on my e-reader. But I've always been interested in various heresies that have been condemned over the centuries, and I'm much more familiar with the heresies of the early church, most of the Christological heresies of the earliest centuries. I'm on much shakier ground when it comes to the medieval heresies, and I have a buddy read planned. I believe it's in June we talked about. I'm going to be revisiting Umberto Eco's Name of the Rose. And I don't know if I'll get to it before then, but thought it might be interesting to try to dig into some information about the medieval heresies. It might shed some light on some of the references in that novel. Of course, this covers Judaism and Islam too, which I'm also very interested to read about. So there it is, medieval heresies. And last in the religion stack, I have Life After Death, History of the Afterlife in Western Religion. Author is Alan F. Siegel. And this really just seems, from what I've seen flipping through on the survey, starts with Babylon, charts a course up through quote-unquote modern Europe, and looks at different conceptions of the afterlife, the context of why those developed, why people might have drawn comfort from those conceptions, what they did for people. And yeah, it sounds like fascinating subject matter. And I like that cover. The little demon guy is kind of yoinking the guys off the ladder there. So, yeah. Last of my religion themed stuff. Tell you what, this one's getting kind of long. I might stop this one here and do the science books as a separate video. So, if I can speak, yeah, let's do that. Thank you for joining me on this one, and I will immediately be recording another quote-unquote bookshelf tour with my science selections. I'll probably be uploading that at the same time, but should make it a little bit more manageable in terms of viewing. It won't be one long, ridiculously long video. So, if you made it with me this far, thank you so much. Take care. Later days.
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?